What is up, everyone? Today we're going to be looking at Pacific Drive. My name is Dylan. You can call me Mouthless. Let's get going, shall we? I've recently beaten the game. I've got about 50 hours in it, and I freaking love it. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do a review, and then at the end, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks. Stuff that can help you out with your run, and maybe get you there a little bit faster. So, figured we'd start off in the garage, just kind of doing a little tour. This is my garage after about 50 hours, like I said, and my car is pretty tricked out. It's got about 1/3 armor parts in the front. It's got no flat tires. It's got anti-corrosive doors on the passenger and driver's side, and it's got insulated panels on the back and back doors. I do this, it kind of gives me general protection from everything, and it seems to be working out pretty well. I've also got a ton of electrical generation on the sides, and I've got 2 giant cargo containers on the top. That'll change later on depending on the run we're going to do, but for today, just kind of a general loot run, we're going to keep the 2 giant cargo holds. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to, in the background, we'll have an expedition going, and this is my first time really doing post audio. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to make sure I got all my thoughts together before I made it. So basically, they just implemented this system where you can go on expeditions, which are randomly generated, like roguelike type things, where you have to go through different bits to get to one final destination, and you have to grab a certain number of anchors to get there. Well, it's pretty hard compared to the regular game, but I'm having a good time with it. Realistically, all the stuff they've added in their newest patch, really good. Haven't had any issues. Have had some graphical issues. If you're running an AMD card, I'm running a 9070 XT, and have had some crashes, but it's not a huge deal. Generally, it just bumps you back to the last. It bumps you back to the last time it's saved, which is generally when you enter that zone. It's pretty good about auto-saving every time you go to a new one. So, what we're doing right now is we're just kind of getting our stuff together. With the new expedition system, you don't get to use your full inventory when you're leaving. You only have a very small part of your inventory to use. And so I basically have to go here. I get my expedition. I put the tape recorder in, or the hard drive, and it gives me my customized map. It tells me where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end, and all the different like specialty nodes in between there. It's very similar to like the regular game. It's just going to be that the maps are smaller and each one has more gimmicks. So as you can see, my inventory is completely redded out except for the bottom right, and I have those 3 items with purple stars at the top. That means I can put those in the red and they don't count. So it looks like we're ready to head out, and we're just going to hop in here and give it one last check of our stats. So gas, everything. Our durability is a little under 100, but it should be fine. So while we get started here, I figured I'd give a little bit of background on the game. This is a roguelite that is based around you being in a car. You get out of the car from time to time to salvage things, pick up stuff, and explore small areas. But generally, most of your gameplay is going to be in the car. The map system is very reminiscent to like Faster Than Light. So as you can see on here, I started off in the green one in the middle, right under my cursor, and I'm looking to see what I want to go to next. Each one is a customized little like random thing. I'm going to go to this anchor party one because it's going to have a bunch of the anchors. Anchors are things that keep the zone stable, and once you remove them, the zone becomes less stable. Overall in the game, we're basically in the American version of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, but it's for an anomaly called LIM. And it's basically like we tried to use energy from a different universe and ended up corrupting an entire area. So the nice thing about these expeditions is that they give you access to a lot of the late game materials without a lot of the issues that you'd have by doing full runs in the main story map. So I'm able to get Olympium here, which is the highest tier item, without having to do a 2-hour run, which is really nice. This is there's 3 zones. There's like regular forested, like coniferous forest. So that would be East Coast United States. There's swampland, so like think Florida, but with more acid. And then this one is like the apocalyptic end of the world type thing that you'd get to in the inner zone. Basically, you're not going to see this until the end of the campaign, but it can be part of your expeditions. So I think it's the creepiest, and that's kind of why I chose it. The game's atmosphere is a mix between creepy and relaxing, which is a fun mix. There's no active threats. There are some things that, like, there's mannequins that if you get too close to them, they explode. And they kind of move around, like angels from Doctor Who. However, they are not an active enemy, so, like, you don't have to worry about them, like, attacking you, like in a horror game. Aside from that, there are these things, they're called bunnies. They're basically balls of electronics that roll around and give you all sorts of headaches. There's some good ones, but most of them like drain your battery or explode or cover you in barf, which is a fun one, or snot. I can't remember which one it is. But those, like, you can't even use your windshield wipers to get them off. And yeah, that thing right there is, if you move while you're under it, it'll try to abduct you. It's called an abductor. So this is a anchor right here. Oh, that's an exploding bunny. So this thing's we're going to try to pick it up and throw it, but by the time we get outside, it's too late. As you can see, I'm already at half health, and that thing probably did a bunch of damage to my car. While you're in expeditions, you do have to do something a little bit different. Instead of just being able to pick up the anchors, you have to sacrifice energy to it through your battery, and the way you do that is by plugging into it. While it's going, I'm going to go grab this truck. They generally have a ton of supplies. So we just passed a mannequin. They're all over the place in these zones. Technically, they're a low-level enemy, quote-unquote enemy, but they are more numerous in higher danger zones. So the general loop of the game is you're just going to kind of go from place to place in your car and loot stuff, and as you get better gear for your car and for your person, you can go to higher level stuff. So stuff here, way more dangerous than it is in the starting zones, or at least there's more of it. There's also certain obstacles that don't appear in the lower level zones that do appear in this one. We'll see some of those in a little bit. But let's talk about the graphics, right? So on the graphics, I'm giving it like an 8 out of 10. It is beautiful, or it's eerie. As you can see, like, there's a giant flower in front of my car that's made of mannequins and hands, and it glows, and it's a really beautiful game. And on maps that are relaxing, like low anomaly, it's really easy to just kind of get lost in it. The car design itself changes quite a bit. I do wish there was like a clean car, so your car always kind of looks dirty and or broken. As you can see, my car, I call it the Ecto Cooler, by the way. It's lime green with black stripes and all sorts of mechanical chicanery on it. And you can customize the hell out of it. There's like all sorts of decals you can throw on it, paints, everything. All the different parts look different, they act different. And what's nice is sometimes the best part in a line is not the part you want to be using. So we'll get to that in a little bit when we get to the tips section. But the weather effects are all really good graphically. Haven't really had any glitches, which is really nice for a game like this. And overall, I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10, like I said. So when it comes to sound is where the game goes from 0 to 100 really fast a lot of the time. You'll see this later on when we're trying to escape the zone. So a lot of the times you'll just be chilling. I don't really listen to the radio very much, but it does come on from time to time. The radio is, I believe, DRM free. I never had any issues with it while I was playing online, or streaming it at least. And you have a radio in your car. You can listen to pre-programmed soundtrack. I just don't. I generally like to listen to the ambiance of the game, the different anomalies, the different creatures all have really good sound effects. The car sounds like a car. The different engines all make different noises. So like there's an electrical engine that's quieter than the others. There's a turbo engine that's louder, stuff like that. Then there's also things like when you're sliding in your car, you can hear like the mud getting sloshed around and stuff. It's very immersive if you're wearing headphones. I streamed it a couple days, and it's like, at the time I was still new to it, and it was very freaky, you know. But as you can see, like this stuff, we're just like rolling around here, and it's just throwing giant pillars at us, and we're trying to get away. Those pillars right there, they're made of mannequins. They explode if you touch them. These are just giant, like, fuck off pillars. So then we're going to talk about stability. It's got a few stability issues. Like I said, I crashed quite a few times. But the nice thing is, every time you go to a new zone, it will automatically like autosave it, but you will lose whatever zone progress you have. And until recently, you haven't been able to stop a run once you started, which is my biggest pet peeve. I'm a father of 2 small children. I don't get a lot of like sit down and play for an hour and a half, 2 hours type thing. And so what I like to do is I generally, like with roguelites like this, I'll play like half a run and then I'll save it, play it later. And in the most recent update, they actually added that. It's called suspend and quit, so that you can basically dead stop your run and quit, and it'll save all your progress instead of just the last autosave. That was probably my chef's kiss on top of this game. And what's funny is they didn't want to put it in, but the community asked for it, and so they did it, which is amazing to me. They wanted to leave it the way it was because they wanted to make it more hardcore, and instead they listened to us and they were like, you know what, we'll relent. You don't have to use it, but it's there if you need it. Rolling into a little repair terminal here. These things are awesome. They give you gas, power. Oh shit, I'm on top of the building. Gas, power, and sometimes like tools and stuff. So they're a really good place. They don't really appear until late game, but overall they're really useful once you find them. Even the ones that just repair or refill your battery are really useful. The expeditions, the most important thing is a large battery capacity, because every single anchor takes 20 to 40 energy to charge, and you, like my car only has 100 energy total. So if there's no wind from my generator or sunlight or rain, like as you can see in this area, there's no sun, there's no wind, and there's no rain, all my generators are not working, or they're at least working on very low levels. The game is non-moddable as of right now. I don't know if they're planning to put that out. I don't really think it would fit it. Generally, I would score that. I'm gonna basketball this guy. Hold on. And through it. This guy's really annoying. Anyway, there's a lot of customizability. You don't really need mods. I'm sure that people would try to make them if they could, but for right now, it's just being iterated on by the devs, and I'm okay with it on this one. Obviously, it's got quite a bit of content. I bought it for $20, and I got 50 hours out of it, so that's a really good trade to me. And yeah, highly recommend. But let's see a little bit more gameplay, shall we? So let's talk about the longevity. The community, super devoted. There's a very active subreddit. People love talking about the different parts and builds, customization options. There's a ton of customization. You can do an all-electric vehicle with tons of generators, tons of batteries, all that stuff. It cuts down. You don't have to worry about fuel anymore, but you still have to worry about running out of battery, which is even worse in a situation like this where you have to use your battery. And there's like the fax machine that's in the garage. Every time you go back to the garage, it'll have like a stupid little factoid or like message from the zone, or like a dude who got turned into electricity and now he's trapped in the fax machine. All sorts of things like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the gameplay of the game. So the mechanics for the car feels really responsive, and it really changes depending on what kind of like engine you're running, tires you're running, especially tires. We'll talk about tires in a little bit. But the game, you can severely change how you're driving just by using different mixes of wheels, engines, and stuff like that. And then, like I said, it's a lot of like gathering. So the tools they give you, the starting tools are just fine. They're actually pretty good compared to other survival games. But the like second level tools are amazing. The plasma scrapper will automatically pick up items as you scrap them, which saves you hassle and you don't lose anything. And then there's like the thermal vacuum, which is just like incredibly strong and can suck up more things into your inventory, and it sends them straight to your car, which is really nice, into your main trunk inventory. So, and then also like there's a magnetic hammer that is needed for Olympium, because otherwise you're going to use one entire hammer on just one Olympian vein. So there's no upgraded pry bar, sadly, but there are things like repair putty, and there are things like sealing kit for when you get a flat tire, or electrician's kit for when your water engine gets flooded, or your solar panel breaks, or stuff like that. So there's lots of different intricate mechanics, and there's lots of things you have to keep account for. I'd say so to give a score for music, I'd say music is also an 8, because the ambiance is just so good. The rain sounds are very good. The storm sounds. Whenever you have a time amount, or you have a specific amount of time on a level before it starts getting worse, and a giant like Silent Hill buzzer siren will come on, and it's really eerie, but it lets you know very clearly, because you can't mistake it for anything else, what you need to be doing, and that's getting out of there. So for gameplay, very deep. I do wish there was a little bit more variety in like the different things you could harvest, because it's pretty much the same, like 8 scrappable items, different cars. There's one car you can scrap. There's 2 trucks you can scrap, and so it's very easy to get into kind of a rut where it's like, oh, I gotta go get 600 of this one item, instead of being like, I need 50 of this, 50 of this, 50 of this. Some people might like it because it's very like single-minded. You don't have to worry about all the intricate, like I need, like I said, 50 of this, times 6. It's just, I need a bunch of this, so I'll just go to a place that has it. One example would be the auto repair in the garage requires 600 swamp eggs, which is a lot, but I was able to get it in like 3 or 4 runs. And it basically just meant I only went to maps that had those, so it wasn't bad. It was just a little time consuming. So gameplay 7, I'd say. The loot. So mission to mission. Once you get your car to high level and you're playing campaign missions, you really don't have to do anything with it. You pick what kind of wheels you like. I personally like no flats. And you pick what kind of armor and stuff you like. Like I said, I have a mix of everything, because you want your front to be defensive, because it's going to take the most damage running into trees, bushes, stuff like that. And then I use corrosive and insulated for the rest, because you're going to take a lot of like weird electrical damage and or acid damage, and so you kind of want to mix it around. Be careful when you're leaving a zone. Shit gets real crazy real fast. As you can see, I'm like trying to drive by a train through a radiation field, and there's just stuff flying at me everywhere. So it creates some incredibly tense like feelings. And there's a lot of times you'll get back to the garage and you'll have like one door left. Everything else has been blown off. So it's one of those games where there's no active threats, but just the nature and the environment the game puts you in is a threat. So you might not have to run away from monsters, but you do have to run away from basically the zone. It is so hostile to life that you have to be very careful. What I will say, the loop, like I said, I wish there was more variety. So like if you're playing campaign, Oh shit, my car drove off. Sometimes the car can have a mind of its own, don't worry about it. If you're just like doing runs, the gameplay loops can get a little boring. Especially because the way it works is you have to hop from node to node. And so if you're trying to do, let's say, the last mission of the game, you have to get to all the way inside the inner zone. But you have to go through all of the other ones to get there, so the runs can end up being just hours long. I think 3 hours was my highest one. And by the time I got back, my like inventory was full, my car was just like trashed, and it's a lot. And yes, it's a lot of investment, which is what they wanted, but also it's so hard to do because like I had to dedicate, like I took a day off from work one time and just like streamed during the day, and that's pretty much what you've got to do if you want to do those. But I highly recommend this game. I have almost no problems with it, aside from the fact that there was that saving thing that they've totally fixed now. And then the AMD drivers for it aren't perfect. Like I said, I crash probably once every 2 hours, I'd say. A little bit more if it's a zone like this that has a ton of stuff going on. But it's not too bad, honestly. A lot of games with newer releases and newer graphics cards do not work well together, but this one I'd say it works pretty well. It works better than a lot of my modded games. Like my Red Dead probably crashes once every hour and a half. And then my poor Skyrim playthrough, it just takes forever. So yeah, no points for modding. I usually like to give a couple of extra points for mods, but I don't think it needs it, so we'll just leave that one at 0. And I think they're going to add a lot more to it. It's a relatively cheap game, goes on sale pretty often. If you are a content creator, they have a website you can go to apply for a free code. I just bought it because I wanted to support them. But if you wanted to try it out and you have a slightly bigger channel than me, they might be able to get you a free copy so that you can review it. So let's talk about some tricks, some tips, some stuff that I learned in my hours. First, you need to have an extra gas tank. You need to have an extra battery. Right now I have an extra of one of each in the back of my car. Yes, it kind of sucks because that gets rid of a lot of the customization, but you've got a lot of other slots. You've got two side slots on each side of the back of your station wagon. You've got the 2 back seats. You've got the 2 top, and so you can customize quite a bit. So I found that having the large gas tank and large battery it's really safe. The batteries that go on the side of your car can get waterlogged really easy, but the one in the back seat, the only thing it really does is it'll like sometimes get like leaky, and so you'll have to use a sealing kit on it. I will say that there's one more mechanic that I really don't like, and we'll talk about it a little later on when I show it in the video, but there's these quirks. Because your car is like alive, it'll develop quirks, and so like it won't let me shut the back left door, and so sometimes I'll just have to run it into stuff to get it to close. Otherwise it'll always pull me to the left. So that's something that you'll either have to deal with or you'll either have to deal with or you're gonna have to figure out the quirk system, because it's convoluted, man. Unless your quirks, this is a tip, unless your quirks are really bad, don't spend the limb energy on them. It's not worth it. The ones I've run into that were really bad, I had one that my headlights could not turn on, and then I had one where my wipers could not turn on. The wipers not as bad as the lights. The lights, it was almost impossible, man, I swear. But that's when you're going to want to spend the time to like spend some energy, because you have to use like your limited energy that you're getting from these anchors to find clues on what's wrong with your car, unless you notice. So like I know the back left door is messed up, so I can go to the system and put in that it's that. One of the coolest parts right here is where you enter a map and you just want to get out of there real fast. So you find where the exits are, which on the map on the right here is going to be a little diamond shape. And once we activate it, it's going to create a giant beacon in the sky. It's a really cool feeling because as soon as you engage it, the map goes crazy. Storms start, things start flying at you, things start spawning. It's a really cool, like, every time you do it, it's, as you can see, there's that giant pillar of light. And so it's easy to find. A lot of times in these games, it's not. And that's so annoying, man. But this one's just like, you can see it from literally the entire map away. So we're done with that run. Our car is in remarkably okay shape. We did not permanently destroy anything. We're going to come in here, and I have a repair shop, which will get my parts up to a little bit better so that I don't have to use as much repair equipment to fix it. And as you can see, it doesn't, you can tell by my little car diagram on the bottom right, it doesn't fix everything, but it does get it up to a non-terrible state. So let's talk about some other stuff. There are like 2 different kinds of tires that you really want to use. There's 4 or 5, but you really never use the low-level ones because they pop so often. And you never really use the all-weather or the paddler because there's not that much water. So every single different tire has different ratings and is good at different things. I use non-flats because it saves me from having to use sealing kits. All I'll ever have to use is mechanic kits to like basically fix the lug nuts on them. That's one tip. So this is by the way, this is the diagnosis system for quirks. It is not great. They don't tell you how to use it very well. And it's basically just a lot of guessing. And if you don't want to, you get a certain number of guesses and then it locks you out for a while. As you can see, I'm just trying different things, and I know like my radio turns on randomly, and I know my rear left door opens, but for some reason I can't. You have to find 2 quirks. So I know my far right door rear right door opens. Rear left door, sorry. But I don't know another quirk that I can use to erase it. It's annoying. I'm sure there's a guide out there on how to do it. I just haven't found it yet. Most people, so like if you look online, most people are going to use off-road tires, and they're really good for most of the game. But I found that once you get into the inner zone, I thought that the puncture tires were better because there's all these different things on the ground that'll puncture your tires and cause you to have to stop. And they don't grip as well, and they do slide quite a bit. But overall, I think they're better. They're not that much more expensive. The only problem is you can't get them off of wild vehicles. So the off-road tires are like the second level of tire, or the off-road tire, sorry, is the second level of tire. And so that's all it takes to, like you can literally find those in the wild, take the tires off of them with a special item, and then from there, you can just put them on your car without having to make them. Whereas the non-puncture, the all-weather, the paddle tires, all of those have to be made, but they're all very good at something, and the no flat for me is just worth it. It removes one of those annoying, tedious things, because whenever you don't even notice sometimes when you pop a tire until you start like drifting to one side. Another thing, you're going to want a lot of energy gen. For a lot of the early game, I ran mostly just tons of cargo space. And I have thousands of everything, but I don't really need thousands of everything. What I needed was to not have to worry about running out of battery. Yeah, so at least 1 solar panel, at least 1 wind turbine. If you want, you can have a hydro or a lightning rod. They're both good, but it rains less than it's windy, and it's sunny about half the time. So, other things you want to invest in, I highly recommend investing in the repair dock as fast as you can. All it does is require quite a bit of swamp eggs. You can get those. So those were some tips and a review of Pacific Drive. I am loving it. I'm going to keep playing it. It's one of those games where, like, no matter how much I play it, I want to play it more. If you're having a good time with it, let me know. If you think my tips are trash, let me know. If you want to give me advice on better parts, let me know. I love it. I'll talk to you all later. This was Malthus, reviewing Pacific Drive. Have a good day.